Yo, what's happening? People coming in. I've invited Ezra. Should be here soon. Yeah, we'll just wait for the room to start filling up. Ezra's here. Can you get on, Ezra? Right, in the meantime, I'm just going to start off the intro. Oh, 5 people. Nah, let's wait a little bit. You've got to let me on. Waiting for Ezra. It says I'm waiting for you. It's unable to join. Wait, okay, I'll send you another one. Yes. Ezra.
Hang on 1 second. There we go.
Yeah, you're on. Yes,
Hey,
sir.
hey.
How you doing?
yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, nice to see you, man. Have you got a drink? You got a drink?
Yeah, you know me. What are you drinking?
Nah, mate. What am I drinking? I've got a pint. I've got a pint of Guinness.
Yeah, I'm just
What
drinking water, man.
Yeah, come on. Oh. Yeah, what's it? You're in Brighton, are you?
Yeah. Just finished work. Got a lovely view. I can show everyone my view.
Oh, that's nice, man. What's mine?
Yeah.
Mine's all right. It's not as glamorous as yours, but a few buildings.
So, for anyone who's just joined us, we're going to be talking about local geography.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit of a catch-up, really, I think, as well. You know.
I don't know if people want to see that.
You know. Right, how many have you got? 13. We'll wait until 5 past, I guess, in 1 minute or a few seconds.
Cool.
Flowers downtown.
Do I look presentable enough for Instagram Live?
Hey,
Maybe.
you look.
Yeah.
Always. Do you know, like
Nice.
I said, it's off the bat. Ezra always had one of the best dress styles at uni. Always remembered. Just...
Yeah, not anymore, dude. Not in real
Yeah.
life. I'm just hella plain. Just wear whatever clothes I've been given, basically.
Yeah.
George might have gave me this shirt. I don't know.
Probably. You probably swap shirts at some point. Yes, Lena.
Cool.
We said Lena's here. Who else is here? Charlie. Come on.
Charlie's here. Shout out to all the YumYum Collective people watching. Charlie, Pritchard, Georgie, Ryan.
Yeah, come on.
Rachel.
Yeah. All right, cool. It's 5 past. Photo fringe. All right. Hello. Okay, people. Thank you for joining. Welcome to the second episode of the YumYum Collective Instagram live series. I'm Ibrahim Azab, and today we're talking with the beautiful, wonderful Ezra Evans. Ezra's an artist working with photography and in his own practice, particularly about the self, which he graduated from University of, AUB, big up, is where we graduated the same year in 2017. After that, Ezra started working up in Scotland with Fresh Focus, a critique group for emerging photographers, which was supported by Stills in Edinburgh. Most recently, Ezra has worked as part of YumYum Collective, which he sort of co-founded with Rachel, I believe.
Didn't co-found YumYum Collective, actually.
Okay, right, we'll get into it then. As well as setting up Restructure, a photography group based in Brighton and Hove also. So yeah, thank you, Ezra, for coming and joining us, talking about your experience and stuff. I'm And I guess, yeah, well, me and Ezra came from the same place in terms of graduating in photography. You know, see, look, he's got the drink out. Oh my, he's lying. Right.
Yeah.
I'm on the beer. He said he was drinking water earlier. So, but yeah, cool. We'll start from Bournemouth, man. And I guess our experience there and how we got a gauge on people and working with others. You know, if we talk, you know, I guess this conversation, it does sort of steer off into how how we ended up working outside of those circles and realizing that it is possible without going to university. But it is interesting that we've both come, I think, from the same university in that sense. So yeah, I'm going to start off with working in the darkroom, I think, at Bournemouth. Like what, you know, people, I think there was only a few of us that really use the darkroom every single day. And Ezra is one of those people. And I just wanted to talk about that sort of friendship or relationship you start making with people that you work with in that way. So yeah, how did you feel around that time, man? Like what did you like have that before going to university, or was that sort of?
Yeah, actually I did in my college room, yeah, which was just like kind of like an old like toilet or something.
Right.
And me and this one other guy, Sam Mayer, and we had like a CD player and we worked in there. But I think kind of what you're saying about the dark room, there was like a select group of us, you know, and I guess, and I'm talking about like collaborative learning, you know, that's kind of when you start to and I think this probably applies to like digital work as well, when you're up in like the labs working with other people.
Yeah, true. We had a digital lab in Bournemouth, actually. Like just loads of like I don't even remember how many computers, but there's quite a lot.
20 or something. But you're learning by doing, aren't you? Which is what art is, I suppose. And any kind of practice. I mean, it's in the word practice, right? So you're learning by doing, and you've got other people around you who are doing the same thing. And so through that, kind of you all enable each other to kind of progress and to learn. And yeah, I mean, in university, right, we called it the DRB. So
yeah. Darkroom boys, but
yeah, not politically correct to say that anymore, though.
yeah, not the least. Yeah. But it was. I remember it was sort of. What was it? Me, George, Josh, Clark, and Ivan was in there quite a lot. I remember Ivan was there.
And then we actually had an exhibition, didn't we? Like a darkroom exhibition.
And it was funny, because it was there was how many students on the course? I think maybe was there around 40, 43 or something.
Yeah, I want to say there was around 40, yeah. And then there was maybe like 4 of us who used the darkroom like really regularly, and then like you know, I think like me and Josh for like the best part of like the second year were like in there every day, and then kind of you and George as well were in there quite a lot. George was in there an awful lot of the time. And yeah, so we formed a working relationship that way, didn't we? And we all learned each other. I think kind of is because you said AUB specifically. I think we spoke before about how kind of AUB, or our course in AUB, like fostered a really kind of like community based social learning environment, or my perception of it was anyway.
Yeah.
And so we used to go on like kind of out drinking together, everyone, and like karaoke and things like that.
The cool thing about Bournemouth, it like didn't matter what course you were on, it was sort of, because the campus was fairly small, but at times felt massive because there's just so much you could do there. Like
unless you were on commercial photography, in which case
I don't even
anything
commercial but it had that vibe, like you were allowed to go and use any other facility and things like that, and like meeting people out and about and whatnot, you just got into other conversations, which wasn't like, you know, it wasn't always just about photography or the people that run your course sort of thing, you know, that general happening all around campus, which was cool.
It was weird, right? The social aspects are actually really important in art, to a degree. I mean, ultimately, like kind of the work is the most important thing and should maybe be like more important, but socializing is important, as you know, kind of like networking and things like that. And you feel like it shouldn't be so important, but I mean, it helps develop your own voice, and it helps you to kind of articulate yourself in a way that I suppose is acceptable to the broader art world. And you know, I think we said before about how, you know, maybe it shouldn't actually be so much like that. Maybe it should be more
Mm-hmm.
kind of based on kind of merit of work and ideas. But I mean, they're good life skills to have anyway, and
Yeah,
they can be fostered in like kind of crit groups or in organising the end of your show, or they in bars or
yeah.
whatever. As
Well,
long
that
as you're
was the thing.
talking about,
It was funny because like most of these sort of well, the best conversations I had with people was like, you know, at a bar somewhere or whatnot. Like, you know, and we did have that time at university to be critical about the work and stuff. But I think, like, you know, part of that was exciting and I guess like push you on to be a part of this greater thing, you know, which is art itself and the people that are part of it. Yeah, and finding your voice through that. And I think that's the next sort of thing I wanted to touch on was, you know, through those communities that you met at university and developing your practice. Like, as I said, you were able to go and use different facilities and try different mediums and whatnot. Like, how did that help you form a voice within your practice, I guess, you know?
I mean, it's weird, right? Because I think that kind of I didn't find my voice photo. I feel like from a younger age than that, because I always kind of did art and studied art. My parents both have degrees in fine art and painting and stuff. Kind of it's strange. I don't really feel like I found my voice at uni, should I say?
Right.
Like I definitely learned to articulate things and to think about things,
Yeah.
and on that side of stuff, it really helped me. But kind of I feel like I've got a more defined voice that kind of, well, artistically or style, whatever you want to call it, that
Mm.
developed post university.
Yeah.
Um, I think that kind of our show was a big part of that, and so after uni, I joined the student union, and that kind of helps you, like in
Yeah.
terms of
Yeah.
confidence.
This show actually,
Getting,
Ezra, yeah, was referenced. There's yeah, it was those guys that were in the docks. So was it? Yeah, me, Ezra, George, and Josh. And was I think was Clark part of that show?
um, well, the dark room one.
Yeah, no, the when we done a cozy club. Oh my
Oh, the
god.
Cody Club one.
Yeah. Oh, we also done the dark room one. Yeah, cool. That was I remember that. That was so long ago, man.
I think the Cody Club one was me, you, George, and Josh.
Yeah. So yeah,
If we're leaving out someone, dude, it's really really bad.
like,
But I feel like kind of it's a strange one. I felt like really underwhelmed by the work that I'd made at uni, and then kind of after that, but still being in like the area of university, so I guess still kind of learning,
yeah.
but also of my cohort more. I think kind of uni was really good because it introduces you to a really broad range of voices
Mhm.
and people. But kind of it's then on you, isn't it, to kind of collate or to collect those people into your kind of your groups and be
Yeah.
able to bounce from each other. And I think actually kind of I'd managed to get a more kind of succinct um, learning experience from that kind of post university kind of year where I managed to kind of spend more time maybe having kind of like conversations with people who were kind of stylistically and in terms of their ideas were more similar to mine.
Yeah. So what kind of things were you doing to like? Were you getting in touch with other people straight out of uni, like, or you know, did you do your
Um,
for a little bit?
Not really. It took a while. So there was the time in Bournemouth, and then I moved up to Glasgow. And kind of one of the reasons there was that there were kind of avenues for peer-to-peer learning and kind
Mm.
of postgraduate learning. So there's two galleries in Scotland that are photography, stills in Edinburgh and street level photo works, and
Yeah.
both of them have really great facilities. I mean, the amazing thing is they're galleries, but they're kind of community hubs as well.
Okay.
And so I paid a membership of, I want to say it was meant to be like 50 quid, but I
Okay.
paid like 20 quid because I didn't have a job.
Right.
And and then they've got libraries and they've got Hasselblad scanners and they've got
Nice.
dark and then I'd be spending like 2 hours on like a Hasselblad and it cost me like a fiver or a tenner or something.
Yeah.
And really, really sweet stuff. Like And you've got a similar thing that's going on over in like in photo fusion, but I mean kind of, and
Yeah,
probably other places in London, but I've not seen like kind of this real community hub kind of aspect that they had there in Scotland. And so that was a really good way to kind of meet new people and to learn. Like I learned so much from Lackland, who was the technician there.
yeah,
Like my whole way of kind of like my whole kind of like scanning process is like a weird kind of amalgamation of like things that I learned from different people at uni, and then
yeah,
things that I learned like work placements, and then like things that I learned kind of while working in these other dark rooms. But yeah, I mean, it'd be good to see more of that stuff
yeah, yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
England.
So what kind of
Um,
are you doing at Fresh Focus? Like what, you know?
so French Focus is like a peer-to-peer kind of crit group and like review group, and it's supportive, and it happens every 2 weeks. And I mean, yeah, it was really good. And we had an exhibition that was organized by a guy called Dave. I can't remember his last name, but you should follow Dave.
Yeah,
He made a book called "The River Doesn't Run Yellow," and it's a nice book, and it's cheap. And so yeah, it's like a postgraduate group for people who've graduated and want to
right.
kind of continue learning and discussions and developing their practice.
See that I
And
think that period there, that like that very moment where you sort of like find that group of people, is in a way which gives you rocket fuel to like, go on for like a long while. Because I remember I was saying to you earlier, it's like, well, when I came out of I was like super hungry to keep making work, sort of thing. And there can be a frustration around that, like trying to get a job and actually survive and stuff, but you still have to sort of like, I don't know, you still feel you need to make work, sort of thing, and then finding people that are the same, because a lot of times it can be lonely after university and stuff like that. But yeah, finding those people, and it's like, I don't know, it felt like a big pressure off my shoulders in a way. Like, I don't know how you felt with that sort of
yeah,
thing.
yeah, it is a relief, and I think it's more focused as well at uni, because I think at uni, and this is no one's fault, at uni there's a really broad range of people who have really broad ambitions. So you've got people who want to teach, or want to join the police
Mm.
force, or want to go into industry but don't want to develop a practice. And kind of then when you leave that, and you're left feeling kind of a bit lost and hollow and empty, and you've kind of got to actively try and go out and search. Um, and you've got to actively go out and search, right, for groups of people who are like-minded and who want the
Yeah,
same thing. And that can be really hard at first, and it can seem daunting. It can seem like there aren't any people like that. But once you find them, it's the biggest help, because everyone's so much more into it. Everyone wants to get something out of it, and everyone wants to give something. And I think kind of because of the nature of people having many different ambitions in education, that's not always the same, and it's not always as helpful.
yeah, 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 absolutely. And that's, I guess what you're talking about there was like when reminds me of when I sort of first met Krasmer and Lena, and it's funny, we didn't really talk that much before. I think we like met once, and then we met at this bar. Then we started talking about each other's work a little bit, and it was, I don't know, it was weird that we gravitated towards each other, and then our work was so similar in that way, and it was like, oh, cool. Like there are sort of not, it's not this like very narrow channel that I'm going to go down, but it's like, oh, these are the people that I'm sort of should be hanging around with, or I feel like comfortable with, and in a way.
So kind of what I'd already realized, I think, before I joined this group is you can leave uni, and we're talking extensively about kind of leaving uni here.
Mm,
So I mean, obviously you don't have to go to uni, but kind of
yeah,
when you leave uni and you're still making artwork, you realize there's something missing, right? And you can read all you want, and you can look at things all you want,
mm,
but what's really missing is the conversation. It's the
yeah,
conversation around. I mean, that's one of the most important things in terms of like actually developing your own ideas and
yeah,
developing your own practice. Kind of just being able to kind of like comb through things and unknot things and work things out,
mm,
and kind of you can't do that just by yourself. Well, I can't do that just by myself. So
yeah,
you
yeah,
need to be able to have that conversation. And before I joined Fresh Focus, you know, I'd like talk about my work with like anybody who would like just give an ear, because there was just such little chance to actually talk about it after you left uni.
Yeah, yeah.
And you'd carry on making pictures for a while, making images for a while, but everything would start to stagnate because there would be no movement. There'd be no movement, you know, in there. So you make things, but the images start to stagnate when you can't vocalize and discuss them, because it prevents your thoughts from moving on visually.
Yeah. No, absolutely, man. And I guess that sort of, you know, thinking about crit, like, you know, when we had crits at university, it was we were quite lucky. Like, I think we had quite a few crits like throughout the year, and like regular little groups. It was almost like once a week, wasn't it, at one point?
I mean, I don't know about like crits, but like crits and like tutorials, like, yeah. I mean, if you were on it,
talk to it.
If you were like a goody two shoes, like me, you could be getting like one or two a week, innit? Just like, because the offices are right opposite the dark room. Turn up and you're like, yeah,
that thing
get right
in the middle of the street with one of your tutors, sort of thing, is at Bournemouth. But yeah, like having that time to talk to someone about your work, we were quite familiar with it, and then, you know, coming straight out was like, I guess in a way to keep you sane to some degree. It's like, I need to talk to someone about this work because, you know, no one else has seen it yet, and I'm the only person. Which is good. Like for me, for example, I think I emailed Krasimir the other day, like, I've done some writing for this thing, like, can you just double check it for me, and like, you know, make sure I've, you know, made any major mistakes, sort of thing, which is that. So I think it's really important, you know, now trying to maintain like getting work and stuff as well, you know. So
I mean, it's just important to understand the work. I mean, like, you can make it, but I think there's work that I made that I didn't like and I didn't understand, and then years later I've grown to understand it, or I've been able to work it out. And I think that kind of the way that the brain works is you can make something visually, but you don't necessarily understand it right away, because there's kind of an expressive element or an instinct to it. And so you need that time to kind of work it out, to first work the work out, which can then help you kind of work yourself out and understand yourself, or vice versa. And like the conversation around that is really important, because as I said, you know, you need that kind of that therapy.
Yeah. So going on from, you know, doing crits and talking about work, moving on to doing the work with other people, YumYum Collective. Now, like, I personally don't know too much about it, but I've seen your work in Brighton Photo Fringe for the first time in the flesh, and it was amazing. And it was like thinking about Ezra when he was at uni compared to like what he works on that now, and I was like, oh my god, like this is amazing. Like I was quite speechless actually. But yeah, so I know you work with Rachel, which I've met. She also went to university with us. So tell us a bit more about that, because I think that's interesting. Like that's sort of a collective that's come out of a friendship as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So right at the start of YumYum, when it was like becoming a thing, Rachel was asking me to join, and I actually said no, because I was like living in Scotland. I thought it just can't really work.
But who else was it just Rachel?
So YumYum is me, Rachel, Charlie, Georgie, Joe, Gams, and Louise. And so we all kind of were close friends in university, right? And so it's a collective that came out of friends wanting to support each other and friends wanting to work with each other. So it came quite organically. It's not like kind of later things where you've kind of had to think it up and really create it. YumYum, I suppose, kind of just happened out of a necessity to put on shows, and not really knowing how to go about it and not knowing how to do it by yourself. And so in that sense, it's kind of like a support network, is allowing one another to work and to make work for a thing. I think especially when you kind of first leave uni, so you don't know how to put on a
Yeah,
show, not really. Like how do you
yeah.
go about like
This one, I do
finding?
mention that cozy club thing, man, because it's kind of like it is semi hilarious, man. But it was funny. We booked out, or we managed to. I don't know if anyone's heard of Cozy Club, the bar, but it might be in some like seaside towns and stuff. But we managed to get the top floor for free, and the guy was like, "Yeah, cool. Like if we open the bar, we'll just take the money from the bar." We're like, "All right, sweet." Dragged all
Yeah,
those upstairs and like put the show. This was after graduating. We were just still hanging around Bournemouth, and we were like, "Yeah, cool. Let's just do this show." We done it. I don't know how many people came, but like I had such a good time, man. It was like it was jokes, but it was that sort of just getting together and putting on a show sort of thing.
yeah. I mean, it's all important experiences. Unless you're like super talented, right? People aren't gonna like. I mean, you can be super talented and no one will care. I mean, unless you're really talented and you're really well connected, yeah. Um, you're gonna have to kind of go about making your own luck and doing these things for yourself and
Mm.
working it out. And you've got to start somewhere. You don't start at the very top. I mean, all of the YumYum shows, apart from Photo Fringe, who were really good with us, but all the others we've just basically paid to have like kind of the other
Right.
there's been a few shows, right? Um, they paid to actually have a space, like a shop front. It's like little pop-up exhibitions, and kind of with the ideas that we're working with, it kind of makes sense because we're kind of like building spaces and we're making spaces, and we're trying to make like photography and artwork and space as one seamless thing, so you can walk, you can touch, you can look, you can enjoy it, you're stimulated, but it's not like just something on a wall. And
Yeah.
so in that sense, have a shop front that can just pop up in the community, it kind of makes sense. But I mean, saying that, people want to give us gallery spaces, that'd be even better. But I mean, but then there's something to be said about accessibility for that, isn't there? And to kind of
Yeah.
like broaden the conversation. If you've got a random shop somewhere and you've made something in it, hopefully you would think the local community can enjoy it, anyone can enjoy it. Whereas kind of, galleries, I think do feel kind of like exclusive and sterile. But then, I'm not sure how many locals came into that exhibition anyway.
Yeah. How did you end up paying for that? Was it sort of like, did you get funding for it, or was it, did you take out your own?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't even involved in this show, so that's something
Right.
else to mention. Like, we've kind of like, so there's the collective, and we're trying to do like a big show together a year, and then we've kind of like sectioned off to kind of continue to make work with other people in the collective as YumYum Collective, but not necessarily with everyone because everyone's got other commitments. So it's more like it's like an umbrella, but we still kind of work in a similar way, I suppose. No, we didn't get funding for it. People just like put money in a pot, and then we gave it to some landlord.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's sort of, I think there are quite a few things that you cannot pay for in terms of opportunities. Like, there's all that are free that you can take part in, but there is also quite a lot of things which, again, like there is money involved and you have to front the money and whatnot. And I guess, at university, like I remember having just like, it just felt like endless supply of everything. It was quite mad. But, that's the kind of materials that we had there or had access to. But
Yeah,
if you have a group of people that are interested in the same thing, or you want to push this thing forward between you, yeah, it's easier, like rather than paying it for yourself, like have a group of people that can chip in for it as well.
so yeah, and so I mean that's part of, I guess, the learning experience. I think kind of with YumYum Collective is strange because we're really diverse in the artist's skill sets, and so kind of from a really base point of view, everybody's learning stuff all the time, right? But it's also like really expansive, and it also allows you to cover almost shortcut things and to not have to do things. So just myself, I've got skill with a camera and I've got skill in a dark room, but I'm really rubbish with a drill.
Yeah,
But there's a lot of people in YumYum who
exactly.
amazing with wood and they're amazing with computer programs. What amazing with concrete and mold making and people who make little trinkets, and so it can really expand the way that you think about art and the way that you create, because you're no longer just able to think within your skill set. So it's no longer a singular way of thinking and creating. It's kind of it's a collective way of thinking of creating, but still all as individuals. And I think that's kind of individually putting things in and getting things out,
That's
you
essentially
put things in individuals and they get mixed up together and then you get something else out.
Yeah, because earlier we sort of like, mentioned about on campus you can go around and use other things, and like there was that social aspect to seeing other people from other courses, but I think there is that thing about like leaving that safety net. Like, as we said, you can feel a bit vulnerable. You're in sort of like wild now, as you could call it. And then you have a group of people that they do their own thing, but you share very similar ideas or like support each other. But somehow you end up working closer with them, those kind of people, rather than like what you did at university sort of thing. Like,
yeah, I think you do, because you work with people more. I think university, although you work with people, it's also quite solo in a way. That's like a lot of kind of long hours by yourself in a horrible student bedroom, kind of working things out, trying things, and
just remembering your room at halls, man.
oh mate, don't say nothing about my room at halls. That's where the conversation ends. I have to draw a line after that.
But yeah, no, absolutely. And again, like, I think this is probably one of the last things I'm going to touch on, but is most important thing about in collectives, or even with your own practice and things. But as you explained, like these things are a lot very achievable with others around you and things, is creating your own opportunities, and through collective effort and thinking about working with other people on broader subjects and things like that, rather than like having to apply for things. Like, how do you feel this is going to like affect you as an artist in a way? Like, because I don't know, I have like mixed views about applying for certain things and paying for certain entries and things like that. And again, like at Revolve, we sort of kind of try to create opportunities for other people. But yeah, like what was your thinking with collective like efforts and things like that? Like,
What, like applying for things, or
yeah. Do you feel you sort of can you just stick with the collective thinking and like keep going that way, or do you think you'll still apply for certain things like open calls and things like that outside of the collective?
Yeah. Everyone still does things as individuals outside of the collective. I think it's important. Like, you can't work in a collective all the time. Everyone has their own lives and their own things going on. Kind of, we make work specifically for the collective space, but we also kind of continue developing our own practices kind of outside of that, and then that feeds into it. You've got all these other things going along, and then it feeds into it. Should we talk a little bit about restructure as well?
Yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, restructure is a recent crit group set up by Ezra and Margot, which is also, she works at PhotoWorks, and Eva was part of the process as well of setting it up. What's going on here?
Yeah, our photo fringe just being the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, photo fringe, easily the best fringe photo festival out there. Yeah. So
how did structure come about then? Like, and why did you?
So like, there's quite a vast difference, and I guess like I don't know if we're talking much about about like kind of collaborative learning, or if we've or not. But there's very like different learning kind of experiences that we've talked about. I think they're all kind of intertwined with collaborative and with solo like learning, and I suppose kind of they're both intertwined with each other, and you can't really separate them. It's like a continuous flow. kind of from university, and then kind of like the lonely months after university, and then kind of joining Fresh Focus in Glasgow, and that kind of opening a lot of, that showed me a lot of things. You can kind of just do things yourself and set things up, and I know that from you as well, and just from speaking to people, and kind of with YumYum Collective, it's a very kind of organic way of working. It's kind of chilled out. It's also very different. It's like, I think we all make something together in YumYum that we would never make by ourselves. There's parts with all of us, and there's parts that could never be conceived by one of us because it works in that collective way. And through that, you learn how to make and how to think about art in a completely different way, in a more like kind of 360 way and a broader way. Restructure is completely different. So Restructure is, it's a crit group, and again, that's come about with the help of kind of Photo Fringe and with other people. That's come about to support artists local to Brighton, and kind of, it came about, I suppose, through conversations that I had with Eva and Margot, and because of Fresh Focus in Glasgow, and kind of from seeing just how much good discussion with other practitioners could make to your own practice, and how it could keep on developing and pushing the envelope of what you're capable of and what others are capable of, while also giving you kind of deadlines and things to work towards. But also being something kind of for the community, I suppose, hopefully. So it doesn't just, it's not just for like art graduates, say. It can really be for anyone.
Just wants to photographs, like.
And anyone who's got a photographic aspect to their artistic practice. So we've got people who are doing PhDs, who've done PhDs, who've done masters, who haven't done further or higher education as well, because it's, that's what we were saying the other day about university and about kind of education in university. Although I had a great experience at uni and I had a really good time, and I wouldn't really change much of it, and it's definitely kind of helped me get to where I am now. There's an elitism to it as well. I think kind of we were saying the other day about how kind of art is so, it can be similar to other subjects, but it can also be completely different. And the fact that lots of people who have a keen eye for art and who find a way to express themselves, can't necessarily go to university because they didn't qualify through GCSEs and A levels, seems kind of wrong.
Even the fact, like, big up Jack. I'm sure you remember Jack in first year. Like, Jack, over that first year, I remember made really good friends with him, and we went out skating quite a lot. And he was a, real creative guy. Like, I loved his photographs. But when it came second year, he, literally couldn't afford to, like, they wouldn't give him finance or a grant. So he couldn't afford to get someone to stay. And then his parents also couldn't be a guarantor, sort of thing. So he had to drop out. And it was like, that I remember thinking, like, that's so deep, man. Like, he was a cool guy.
Yeah.
Couldn't keep studying. But, also people that can't even get in the first place, is like, there must be so many people out there that are so talented.
There's a lot of boundaries that are put in place to stop people from attaining kind of an education in anything, but in an education in kind of art, or be able to learn artistic things and artistic skills. And if you can do things more community based, I think kind of it's on us to really to teach these things and to help other people learn and to learn ourselves, because I don't think that, like, universities might have a lot of goodwill, but ultimately they need to kind of survive, and they're restricted to taking in certain people, as are kind of colleges, and schools are restricted by governments stripping funding away.
Yeah, of course.
And so kind of a way that people can help is by doing things in their own community. So Restructure is primarily, just for Brighton-based artists.
Yeah.
we want to foster a sense of community kind of around the Fringe, one, because there's this amazing festival. There's a degree course, and we want to be, give people a reason and a network and a social bubble and circle to kind of stay in Brighton and to kind of help develop their practices and their arts and their thoughts. Oh God, where was I going for this? Oh yeah, community based.
Yeah.
Anyone can join. You don't need A levels or anything. And I think kind of it's on people as members of the community to kind of.
And I think that's the most special thing about, like, interestingly, like, the ideas of a collective or whatnot, working with other people on a small scale, like, how could that be put in place on like a much larger scale? And those things like restructure, and like these festivals and whatnot, free events and having workshops and things can enable more people that can't get into university and such. And this is where I think it gets interesting, where, I don't know, it's part of like a deinstitutionalization of the art world, Did you hear that?
Yeah, sorry, I was also replying to the chat, so I kind of heard it a bit, but also kind of accidentally zoned out.
No, but I mean, yeah, we kind of mentioned that earlier, like skating. Well, me and Ezra skated a little bit. I'm nowhere near as good at skate as Ezra. Like, he did the wildest shit ever, like dropping off of 9 foot quarter pipes and stuff, man. I was just like, what are you doing? But yeah, no, I guess that sort of reflects a way of like, talking about like community and getting to know people, and a sort of, growing around a certain idea is like, skating was certainly that. You go just meet people on the street, like, didn't matter who they were, what they did and whatnot. But and I guess that was sort of part of training. It's quite funny.
I mean, it's kind of like there's a DIY aspect to it, isn't it? To collectives, to meet people skating. It's about you need to try and foster a community hub, and it takes a lot of people to do that. Like, Brighton seemed kind of a really good place for restructure. Obviously, I mean, it could only happen here because I met Eva and Margot here, and we were here, and the photo fringe was here, but you need a lot of people doing a lot of different things. You've got people doing the photo fringe, you've got Photo Works and the Brighton Photo biannual, and so around that, what other avenues are there to get people into photography and to get people into visual arts, and then to help kind of mold and teach and impart things that but also kind of soak as much up as you can to learn as much and absorb as much as you can.
Yeah, of course. And absolutely, like, even the Photographers Gallery, Jodie Hawkins is the director of Young People's Learning program, and they specifically open up for people that are sort of like underprivileged and don't normally get access to this sort of thing, and they don't allow other people that do or are going to uni, which is amazing. And they do it from like years from like 16 to 25 and things like that, and like, targeting that sort of audience. And yeah, no, it's good. I think it
really, things need to travel, don't they? We need to get, because the government's not going to do it.
Yeah, exactly. They're not going to do that now.
London might not, because everything's ready in London, innit? And so, like, we need people to be going around to like schools and to have the initiative to kind of set up workshops and to kind of try and create the right space for people who don't necessarily have the opportunity to kind of learn in an artistic and a creative manner. Because I mean, there's creative learning, isn't there? So you can learn like maths in a creative way, or science in a creative way, and you can learn things in like a visual way. Nobody wants to teach people in that way in the government.
Well, I think it's probably time to wrap this up to a close. We're going to accept questions very quickly, but Ezra, I wanted to ask you, for anyone that is sort of watching this and or will be watching this later, that could, finding it hard to get into or have dropped out of university, are still interested in making work and getting involved in interesting things and communities, like, what are the best tips to give them? I think, you know, how to enjoy it the
What
most. Like,
go out and like grab the opportunities that you can. You know, don't get put off by extortionate open calls. Do open calls if you want, but basically, people are just making money off of you.
yeah.
Let's name drop a few
No.
places that a few places.
But,
Like you know, all these ones. I can't even find them, man. There's one that's always
yeah.
emailing me. All these ones on
We
Instagram,
yeah, it's all
judge stuff, whatever, man. You know, if these people really cared, they wouldn't be making you pay £30 to sign up. You know, nor would like Phone or BJP. They already have a magazine.
yeah.
So do open calls if you want. I do open calls when I've got the money, and I
Yeah.
never get anything out of it. And that's actually the real reason why I'm bitter about it. And but I mean, it's more about do things locally, find like-minded people, find people that can help you and inspire you, and people that you can bounce off, and people that are on a similar wavelength. Not necessarily like creatively, but people who are into some kind of creative thing. People who want to talk about art, people who want to look at art, people who want to learn. Find those people. It might be really hard and really taxing. There probably are already groups set up. If not, you can find groups, or make groups. Sorry, you can set up groups. We did this with I met a load of people in Photo Fringe. We set up something because we saw a gap in like the market for it, and it's to help other people, but it's also self-serving. I played a part in setting up Restructure with the others, because yes, it helps the wider community, but it also helps myself out. And so you've got to kind of look at things in an analytical sense. You know, what do you need? What can help you? I think everyone's probably different, and it will take like a year or so kind of out of uni, back at home with parents, or doing whatever, you know, work out what it is that you're missing and what you need.
Yeah, because absolutely, I think at the beginning as well, you feel that need to be like, go, like I need to be doing this right, like talk to everyone. But it is important to just chill. Question: how important is it currently to have access to physical exhibition spaces after a year of heightened digital?
Well important, man. Digital is its own thing, right? But it's not the same.
Because you guys sort of primarily, you know, working in sculpture and stuff, and you know,
YumYum's work doesn't really translate digitally. There's like a digital aspect to it, and like VR is pretty cool. And what they did with what's the photo festival that happened recently, Abby? And they had a really it's not FOMA. Is it FOMA? No, FOMA's like a film brand.
Foam?
No, not Foam.
Where was it?
A photo. I want to say it's like the one in Hull or something.
In Hull?
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Pardon?
Format Festival.
Format actually had a really nice kind of like online presence and online space where you could like walk about and look at things. It was kind of like a video game, and it was really cool. I enjoyed it, but it's also like a bit gimmicky, isn't it?
Yeah.
I
mean, not to this.
Don't want to be insulting, because it's like probably like the most fun I've had in like a digital space. Like you know, like Photo London was just like a gallery or whatever. That was interesting, but yeah, none of these things will actually replace looking at a show and like experiencing a work. I think for like a print, there's so much that you can get out of a print in terms of like grain, paper, you know, the coatings, the gloss. And then in terms of like three-dimensional work, about like being able to walk around something and to feel something and to look at something and have something from different angles that you just don't get through a screen. I think ultimately the problem with digital is no matter how you look at it, you're still looking at it through a screen, you know?
Yeah.
So it's always got the screen between you and the thing.
That is the sort of barrier, the obvious barrier between, you know, seen it in real life as such. But yeah, it's interesting, sort of. It's like looking at the Brighton Ferry Fringe as well, because I know they had. Well, I was part of the judging panel, but they did have an online sort of exhibition going on as well as a physical one. And personally, I thought it was important to go and visit the physical thing because there are just certain things which you don't get out of, you know, seeing it through a screen. And like you see everyone's work through a screen, sort of, rather than it was like in a screen in a gallery. It's like that's that one sort of particular art. Use a screen in a particular.
Big up photo fringe, getting it done. It
was good.
In real life and on the internet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
and the internet.
Yeah, and the internet, the future and the past together.
Okay, right, we're going to go for this one. Have you done any fundraising for your own practice, i.e. not part of YumYum? Funding, which is non-existent, deferred to due to COVID.
I don't know. That's probably. Have you ever done any fundraising for your own practice of it?
Fundraising, as in trying to. No, not really. That's pretty hard asking people, because I mean, like, I don't know. You could set up crowdfunding. That's not something that I've really done before. But my own practice, I pay for my own materials and stuff. Like I go to work. That's with that sort of money. And I guess there sort of like are certain things, like at Photo Works, they're setting up that new open call. Can you remember the name of it?
No, I write more down in like a
book.
Yeah,
there are open calls out there which are for free and you can earn money for it, but I personally haven't.
I mean, there's ways to get funding, right, but there isn't much. I mean, grassroots is certainly a way. If people won't like give you things, and like it's about connecting and like meeting people and knowing people, isn't it? Can you build a relationship with so and so who owns a gallery, and then through that relationship, will they maybe one day let you use the gallery space for like a week for free, or things like that. Like fundraising, no, like our YumYum exhibitions cost like an arm and a leg, dude. I mean, I'm talking all that. I say that.
What is why would you tell me about, man? Jeez, that.
Oh, yeah, Rachel, man. You can't just have like it's not like plywood from like B&Q. It's like like plywood from a specific place, and it has to be like a specific tree from a specific area of the world, and they're cutting like knots out of it and like filling them with other bits of wood, and it's
so lovely.
I spent more on my prints for that show, than the wood cost.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we're in the wrong business, mate. But...
We are in the wrong business, dude. But yeah, no, I haven't applied for any funding. None of my peers, I think, have really either, because it seems really difficult to get.
It's very time consuming. So if you keep still making stuff, it can just sort of, I think, although sometimes it becomes a burden in a way. You just like, I'm working towards something. I've earned this money. I'm going to make this thing. So.
Yeah, I mean, open calls are like a burden. To apply to an open call, and it's like cool, like you spend up like hours and hours and hours doing these things after work each day. And it's like, yeah, you could be talking to people from Restructure, or talking to Willie about your artwork, and like developing yourself and like learning things.
Okay, we've got a question from Eva. Hello, Eva. Ezra, what do you have lined up with YumYum?
Dude, we've got so much lined up with YumYum, but everything keeps on getting pushed back. We've got a big group show that we're meant to be doing, coming to a shop front near you. It's in Fillet Space. It's going to be in Fillet Space in London somewhere.
Oh, nice.
Let me see. Fillet. There's going to be a big group show with everyone from the collective, so all 7 of us. I don't think that's happened for like years, basically because of the collective. So for that show, I mean, we've barely planned out anything yet, but that was meant to be done like over a year ago now, and it hasn't. We've got a show coming up in some studios somewhere. Can't remember them. I could find it on Instagram quickly. And that's more of a low-key one. That's me, Rachel, Charlie, and Georgie.
Okay.
We're making kind of like boards wooden boards, and they're like supported by concrete like struts, and on them I've created like a selection of images, and there's going to be like a film that's projecting, and actually it's like, again, like learning to work together in different ways. And so like each show, so kind of approached it in a different way. Like mine and Rachel's one for Photo Fringe was a real collective thing. Like I made the images, but then like with the structure, we worked together. We both had a hand in designing it, you know, and then Rachel mainly like made it. So there's different aspects that we bring, and there's like a lot of different ways that we can collaborate with each other and learn. And so this one that's coming up, Creekside, it's going to be at Creekside Studios. So Charlie and Georgie do a lot of writing, and they make films and stuff. And so me and Rachel will also like video and bits and bobs from our kind of like daily existence, and then like emailing them over. So like the film will be like an amalgamation of different things that couldn't have been done by just Charlie and Georgie. You know, they've then made something that's done by all of us. We've got another show coming up. Well, not coming up. It's like a proposal that we've been working on for ages. And I'm really excited about that. And that's the four of us again. And we're kind of working with the idea of kind of like viewing it through a shop window because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So you not be going into like the actual space itself and like kind of laying things up. And that's exciting because there might not be any photographs in it, but I've kind of I've thought about it.
Like sometimes don't even take photos anymore. Like, but it's nice, man. Yeah, it's cool.
It's brilliant.
And in a way, it's good working with other people's work and techniques and stuff. So,
but we want to collaborate with people, but there's a big difference between YumYum and like Restructure and what those two things are doing, and then what Revolve Collective is doing. And it's interesting because we've looked at Revolve like a lot for kind of inspiration of like directions that we want to go in and how to grow and how to do things like that. But I mean, it's a different kind of community, and I think that we would like to open things out to other people. And I've had conversations, you know, do open calls really helps with like following and stuff like that. But we don't want to like do an open call to gain followers. We want to do it kind of for a real purpose. And just so far, it just hasn't so happened that like the right exhibition has like come along. I think because it's a lot smaller, everything's a lot kind of more meticulously kind of created.
Absolutely.
Not in like a fact, like it's like super like visioned and like narrow and like you know. Like,
in a way, like collectively, you do form a practice in a way. Whereas I think in Revolve, like because we do or are trying to create opportunities for other people, we, you know, I think in ways like we are a lot quite private about our own development in a way, but we'll come and talk to each other here and there and such. But I guess when you guys work on projects, it's like we're making a thing together, and like this is sort of, you know, again, like having your photographs on Rachel's sculptures at Photo Fringe. But
our sculptures at Photo Fringe.
Yeah. Okay, right. Answer that one. Or
pardon?
Do you want to answer that? Hitesh is hello. Hitesh, he's here. My man.
Is there any workshops?
Monday. Okay, I'll this one like basically on my half, I'd say if you want to learn about how to fund stuff, like if you want to go down that route, like meticulously, because personally I don't have any experience in that sort of stuff. Like I only even found out just coming out of uni that you had to apply to get money to do what you want, which is kind of weird in a way. But yeah, if you want to be able to write that like application as best you can, then like I personally would. But you know, again, it is kind of like a catch-22 situation in one of those things. But you know, for example, like someone from our collective has done a workshop recently about how to make money and stuff, and has shed the light on all of us, you know, like as much as they can and things. So, you know, if you have those people around you, again, as we said, like, yeah, it could be done that way. Yeah. How do you feel?
It's a shame that money has to come into it, isn't it?
Exactly.
But it does have to. Yeah, and you've got to make the money some way, somehow. As people said, kind of, there's not much funding. You know, there's a lot of people trying to get it.
Yeah.
Um,
So much stuff I think
so
people do. There isn't actually too much. I don't know. Like personally, me, it's like there's not enough time to be like having to fund here and fund there, like apply to everything. It's like,
I mean, like, yeah, either you get like it's a lot of time. Like if you have another job, it's really hard to apply for funding. If you're like kind of a career artist, then it's probably easier. It's probably easier for you.
yeah,
But the most important thing is just to be making, isn't it? I mean, forget nice things. You know, don't have takeaway. Don't have a nice camera. Just make whatever you can, like however you can. Like other things will hopefully fall in place, and or maybe they won't, and it will take a lot of work.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the more work, the better, right? Because the more workshops, the more people can learn, and the more people can understand, and the more people can have opportunities. So yeah, the more workshops I'm applying for funding for artists, the better that is for artists.
Mm-hmm. No. Yeah, I think it's probably a good thing to end on, man. Like, I guess that is the conclusion. Better together, man. Better together.
Better together.
Yeah,
Peace.
absolutely better together. But no, thank you so much, Ezra. I know we've gone way over time. I think these were only meant to last half an hour, but whatever, it's cool.
Yeah.
We keep moving. Do our thing.
We hadn't covered anything like in like the first 20 minutes. Like I looked at the list that you sent me, and like we'd covered like half the stuff by like half an hour.
Yeah. But you know, yeah, general experiences, man. I think it was good to talk to you and about that. So yeah, no, big thanks, Ezra. Everyone who came to watch today. If you're still here, new people that just joined. Yeah, please join us for the next one, which is titled A Vertigo Like Self, which is a conversation between Laura Bivaloru and Alexander Morant, taking place on May 6th. But yeah, Ezra, again, thank you so much, man. And I'll catch up with you soon. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye bye.